Yes, I have a cup that says J on it. Quit judging me. Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy So Secure from MBT Studio. And today it's 6:35 right now, and basically I woke up at 6 o'clock to make this review, 6 a.m. in the morning. The reason for that is because I have to go start filming somewhere next week. And that's a surprise for you guys. Once I finish editing the video, it's a 1 week worth of footage. And before I go, I have to review the LCD2 classic headphones over here, because this is a lone pair from Audeze, and I do have to return it before I go on this trip. So I had about a month to review this headphone, and so I'm going to tell you all about this headphone coming right up after this epic tunnel intro. Hey, welcome back. So let's talk about the Audeze LCD2 classic headphones. What's changed? The LCD2 classic headphones over here, guys, is a headphone from Audeze. And Audeze makes fantastic headphones, and if you see my past reviews on their headphones, they have done a great job. But there was one thing, if you can remember, there was one thing that I really couldn't get over, and that was the comfort level. If you guessed it, click that like button. If you didn't, still click that like button. The comfort on the Audeze headphones were almost unbearable, at least for me. One, they were very heavy. Second, the headband design was very narrow in surface area, so one part of your head would hurt a lot. I don't know about you guys, but it was especially bad for me because I would get a lot of headaches after wearing it for like 20 minutes. And that was really bad. It sounded great, and I did want to keep it on my head, except I had to take some Tylenol or some kind of medication to reduce my headache, which is quite unhealthy. I mean, the music is good, but that's quite unhealthy. So back to this headphone, the Audeze 2 classic headphones, they've made some changes, and the way they made changes, I think they kind of heard me. I think they kind of heard me say these stuff, because I did talk about these stuff, but I'm sure I'm not the only one. Now, what they did was basically take the leather headband and replace it with this metal suspension and the hyphen style, right? I talked about that, changing this to a hyphen style. Yeah, Audeze, good job. So anyways, basically they made a kind of like a larger surface area, and that way it makes it much more comfortable, and I dig it. Now, I don't know if this is to reduce the cost or if it's the overall vibe of this headphone, but it is all black and it's going for that matte black look, which I kind of like. I really like matte black. So which means they don't have the wood. They used to have it here on the outer side. They don't have it on this one, but the LCD2 still has it. Now, with that being said, this headphone is significantly lighter than the other Audeze headphones. So overall, it's a quite comfortable headphone, and I don't think I have a problem putting it on my head and letting it stay there. You know, throughout my listening sessions, throughout my review sessions, I can tell you with confidence that I did not experience any headaches or any discomfort for that matter. Now, this is gonna be a little bit weird, but my ear measures about 2.8 centimeters at the longest point, and here from the driver to the pad it measures 3 centimeters. So it's about very close to touching it, but it's barely not touching it, and that's exactly how it is. The cup inside is quite big. It's not touching any part of my ears, which I really like, but I would like to see that I have small to medium sized ears. So if you have bigger sized ears and you don't like your ears touching the drivers, it seems like some of you guys don't like that, then yes, you get an idea of that as well. Just measure your ear, and you know, if it's more than 3 centimeters, that means it will touch your ear. So the overall build quality on this headphone seems very nice, and it's typical of Audeze headphones. And the pads here are plush, very nice, and like I said, they're very comfortable. Now with that being said, I think I love the style as well. And this is an open back headphone. It's a fully open back headphone. So that means that you're not going to be wearing this on the go or on the streets where there's a lot of traffic and sound. And second, you also don't want to carry this around because the Audeze doesn't provide the case for this one. It doesn't come in a case, it comes in a box. And for those of you who didn't know, Audeze usually provides a very tanky, very nice case for their headphones. This headphone doesn't come with that, so that's one thing to consider. Now they do sell it separately on their website. I think it's about a little bit more than $100, and whether if that's worth it for you for transportation or storage purposes, that is entirely up to you. Now these do have the protruding connectors here, and it's mini XLRs. And the nice thing about this cable, and I don't know if this is going to be the stock cable from now on from Audeze, but anyhow, this is the first headphone that I got after the whole revision. If you didn't know, they have this whole revision going on with this new headband and all that stuff. So good stuff. They're stepping up their game. Anyways, I'm just talking gibberish while I untangle this. So basically, we have a Audeze cable, stock cable, which is quite nice. It's black and it's braided, and it's quite nice on the hand. It feels very nice. It does not feel cheap. It is nowhere in comparison to the Sennheiser cables, which I hate, which you guys know. And with that being said, I do love this cable, just the aesthetics of it. Now, one thing to keep in mind or consider in your purchase is that Audeze does not provide an Xlr cable for this one. So you have to buy a third-party one if you want to go balanced. Here they just provide a 1/4 inch. And the clamping force over here I think is quite good. I think it's great for my purposes. I don't know about you, but I have like a medium-sized head, and I have a very long face. I don't know why that matters, but anyways, it sits comfortably. It's not gonna fall off when I rock back and forth. So I think that's something to keep in mind as well. The clamping force is almost perfect for my head. Should I start measuring my head as well? So for those of you that are pad swappers, or just love taking off pads and putting on new pads and trying it out, here is a little insight. These are glued. So although you can change them, and Audeze does provide a kit that you can purchase to change the pads here, it is literally like, so you gotta kind of rip it out. So with that being said, if you don't want to go through that trouble, so if you're a guy who loves to put pads on and off quite frequently, then that's another thing to consider, because with this headphone, that's going to be a little bit of a pain in the ass to do. So I think that quite covers the build quality and the overall aesthetics of the headphone. If you have any more questions, comment down below, and hopefully I will be able to answer them for you. So I had this headphone for about a month now, and I do have to return them because they are a lone pair. So I will be able to give you some insight into what this sounds like, so let's get down to it. Now I had quite a bit of varying experiences with this headphone, so here's my experience. So the first headphone amplifier that I tried with this headphone was the Mytek Brooklyn DAP Plus. And with that being said, it sounded good, sounded quite okay, but I thought maybe it needs break-in or something, because the bottom end was really good, but then once you kind of went up the spectrum of things, went to the high frequency, the cymbals and such, there was a little bit of a glare in the top end, and the mid frequencies were good and then kind of started dropping off in quality, and I was like, I don't know, do I like that sound? It's kind of getting glary, kind of sibilant in a way, and overall it sounded much like a headphone that I personally would not listen to for a long time. And overall, I would not say that it's a warm headphone, and I was like, but I thought this was supposed to be a warm headphone, and I let my friend try it, and he's a very experienced guy. He has tried a lot of headphones, a lot of speakers and such, and he was confirming that what I heard was what I heard. He was saying that it had a glare, it didn't sound great for a headphone that you want to listen to for a long time, etc, etc. And the second amplifier I tried with this headphone was the Venture Electronics RA2.0B. I did a review of this amplifier in my previous videos if you want to check it out, and it's a very good amplifier, and that amplifier is in no means a warm or like really warm kind of amplifier. It's more of a neutral, a little bit more clean sounding amplifier. And with that amplifier, it sounded quite good. This headphone sounded quite good. So maybe it was a mismatch between the Mytek and this headphone. I do not know. But what I can tell you is that the glare was gone and the bass was full. It sounded quite incredible in my opinion. But there was still a little bit, just a tiny bit of like the cymbal kind of annoyances or kind of too forward sound that almost felt like a glare. But not really a glare, it was more towards a little bit of annoyance in some tracks. And I know these tracks very well. An example is like a Sam Smith song that I'll always listen to. It's not some crazy audiophile kind of stuff. And there's a cymbal in the background, and it will sound more forward and it will sound a little bit more clanky than it usually would on a headphone. And then a third amplifier I tried was not really an amplifier, it's a preamplifier from my Macintosh C220 preamp. Now they do have a headphone section, so I used that with this headphone, and I thought it sounded quite good. In fact, I thought I liked the best out of the three amplifications, because the Macintosh C222 is a tube preamplifier from Macintosh, and it sounded quite good. And it's hard to explain. It's kind of full-bodied. The atmospheric experience with that was quite good. Now there was a noise floor, quite significant noise floor with the C22, and that's because tubes are microphonic. But other than that, it just sounded full-bodied. The bass was so good, and in normal songs that I listen to, like almost every day, I could literally feel like a rumbling at higher volumes. So in terms of sound signature, I think it reminds me of the LCD-X. Although the LCD-X is more refined and is less grainy than this headphone in the top end, this headphone more so reminds me of the LCD-X, but kind of without the phasers, if you can kind of imagine that equation. So a phaser is like a waveguide, and surely enough, this doesn't have the waveguide according to Audeze, and that's supposed to bring back to the old Audeze sound, which is a little bit more full-bodied, warm sound signature. Now, with that being said, I don't think this is a full-bodied, warm sound signature sounding headphone, just because I had those three varying experiences with three different amplifications, and it was a noticeable difference between the three amplifications that I've tried. So with that being said, I think you should try out the amplification that you are going to use with this headphone before you buy them. Or second, I think you can't go wrong using a tube amplifier. Or maybe if you want to go with this headphone, I suggest that you try a more warm sounding headphone amplifier. Now, one thing I really love about this headphone and the sound signature of this headphone is the mid-range, and the mid-range is absolutely fabulous. It's smooth sounding, it's quite nice and atmospheric. The sound stage is really wide. The sound stage is very much larger than the HD58X, or there's a price difference, but I'm giving you a reference here. It's bigger than the Sennheiser headphones in terms of sound stage. And the imaging is quite good as well. Not as good as the LCD2 or the LCD-X headphones, but it is still better than the Sennheiser HD650s or 600 headphones in terms of imaging, in my opinion. But if you find the Sennheiser headphones to be a little bit more dark sounding, kind of narrowed down, and you want a larger sound stage and more of that kind of atmospheric experience, but without the kind of like the warmth, then this would be the headphone for you. By no means this is not a warm headphone in my opinion, just because of that experience between amplification. Like I said, but it does have a potential to become a very full sounding warm headphone if you use the right amplification. Now that's gonna be hard to do since you have to go around and try it with other amplifiers until you land on the right one. I just happened to have 3 different amplifications that I could try, and all 3 of them gave me varying experiences. So take that with a grain of salt, but I feel like the most neutral out of all the 3 amplifiers that I have used was the Venture Electronics RA2.0B. So I think the overall sound signature without the coloration of the amplifiers for this headphone, I would say was most likely a little bit more neutral than not. So keep that in mind and make sure you make the right choice. Now the bass is very good. Like I said, it rumbles and it goes down pretty low. It goes lower than the HD600 or the 650 from Sennheiser, and most headphones that I've tried doesn't go down this low. Now I found that the LCD2 is a little bit more punchy, but the LCD-X goes down a little bit more. And I found that to be the same thing here. And the reason I find this to be similar to the LCD-X is because it does go down low. It just doesn't punch as hard as the LCD2. But by no means, it is a very punchy headphone if you use the right amplification. So in the end, I think it's a great entry-level headphone from Audeze. It does have high potential to be a great headphone when used with the right amplifier. So that was it, guys. Please make sure you subscribe to this channel, especially because we have great videos coming out very soon. A lot of different product reviews, and we have the travel video coming up, as well as some of the vlogs and great content coming up right now. So make sure you subscribe and keep updated with us, and make sure you click that like button if you like this video. And of course, please feel free to comment down below and interact with me and ask questions. It really helps me out with my future contents and what I should put in my future contents. And I'll see you guys in the future.